Imagine one patient's disbelief when police said the person who stole her identity worked at the doctor's office where she was treated.
Now imagine the patient's disbelief when the suspect bonded out of jail and went right back to work at that same doctor's office. Fox 5 I-Team reporter Randy Travis had a hard time believing it too. Randy?
I did, Tom and Sinead. Yeah, but it is true. We trust our medical providers to protect our personal information. But what happens when the person in trouble is the one standing in the way of you alerting her bosses? Let's follow the frustrating footsteps of Tiffany Cox.
I think I'll be looking for another chiropractor.
That's Tiffany with an I.
I just have no idea how deep it goes.
She's trying to get a word with her chiropractor. Us too. Dr. Nichols?
Hello?
It's about this woman, Tiffany Snadon. That's Tiffany with a Y.
It's spelled differently.
According to a Henry County police report, Tiffany Cox got a surprise letter from a bill collector last month claiming she had stiffed this apartment complex out of $4,763. Tiffany with an I had never lived here, but police determined Tiffany with a Y had. The complex is right behind the Atlanta Sports and Injury Center for Rehab in Stockbridge.
Based on her working here at this office, and I'm going to this office, I put two and two together. It was pretty easy from there. The officer arrested her that same evening.
The report says someone had forged a copy of her driver's license by adding Tiffany Snadon's picture and also using Tiffany Cox's birth date and social security number. Tiffany with a Y was also accused of opening a Georgia Power account by pretending to be Tiffany with an I. For the chiropractor receptionist, it all spelled big trouble. But get this, according to the police report, Tiffany Snadon met the detective at the door and asked if they could talk outside because, quote, she didn't want her bosses to think anything bad about her. They went straight to the police precinct where she was charged with ID theft and altering a government identification. The cops never went inside.
She bonded out the next morning. She was right back at work, and to my knowledge, the doctors have no idea.
Tiffany tried calling to warn the doctors. She says the other Tiffany kept answering the phone. After all, that's her job. So when the receptionist left for lunch, we did ours. Just wondering why you're still working here when you were charged with identity theft for something that happened here.
I don't want to talk, but I don't think it happened here.
Well, you're accused of stealing a patient's identity. Do the doctors know you did that? Come on, just answer a few questions before you go, Tiffany. Do they know the truth here? But Tiffany with a Y chose to drive away in her BMW. Seriously not okay for Tiffany with an I.
Something needs to be done. The people in this nice area of Henry County need to know that she has access to our records. She's using them to her advantage.
Well, neither doctor responded to our request for comment. We checked a few days later and did not see her car outside the office during regular business hours. It's understanding that she doesn't work there anymore.
Pretty gutsy for Tiffany with a Y to even return to that medical office. So question is, I guess, how many patients should be concerned when they walk into the doctor's office that their identity is at risk?
Right, yeah. Well, I asked Henry County Police and they said they're hoping this is an isolated incident. Yeah. But if I'm a patient at that clinic, I'm checking my credit report just to make sure.
Not a bad idea, and it's just reminds us how vulnerable we are. You know, we give our social security number because we have to for our insurance, and
not necessarily. You don't have to give them your social security number. Just make sure you don't necessarily have to when they ask for it, because that is one way that your information can get out into somebody who has plans that they shouldn't have for your information.
Okay, worth double checking.
Thank you, Randy.
Thanks, Randy.